thank you for taking time out your busy diaries today to join us. I'm delighted to welcome you to the official launch of the framework this morning. And just in terms of a few opening words, I think we all know on the call this morning that strong and positive engagement with parents and families is really essential if we want to create and build learning cultures within families across Scotland, and also to close the attainment gap that we talk about every day and work tirelessly to achieve in Scottish education. I think we all know that research tells us that really effective parental engagement has a lifelong effect on families' aspirations, on attitudes towards learning, progression into college, university, employment, and this in turn can lead to roots out of poverty. I'm a former teacher and a former head teacher, and I know and saw firsthand the impact of that real and authentic engagement with parents and families. And colleagues who know me well know how passionate I am about the impact of professional learning, and the fact that your commitment to professional learning in this work, and also to providing opportunities for students, for probationers, for post-probationers and existing staff who you're working with every day, will really help to support parents and families to engage positively in their children's and their own learning. And I think those words that I'm using there around strong and positive engagement are really, really important. We know that engagement as an end in itself won't necessarily drive the difference that collectively we want to achieve. So the importance of strength here, I think, is really important. And another thing that I'm really excited about in terms of this work is how strong a partnership approach it has been. So for All Education Scotland are launching this today. This isn't an Education Scotland piece of work. It's a piece of work that has been developed and led in partnership with a whole number of partners, and I'll say a wee bit more about that shortly, with colleagues from across the education sector to develop the framework that we're proud to be launching today. And you may be wondering, although some of you know this already, but you may be wondering how the framework itself came about. So I'm not going to give you a great big history lesson. I know you nearly got 30 years of my career at the opening, but it's not a big history lesson. But I think it's really interesting that this work started some time ago when Education Scotland set up a knowledge exchange group. So recognising the importance of that partnership working, the connecting, and the purpose of the group itself was to share priorities, to share good practice among stakeholders, colleagues, organisations who have a shared interest in this area and a vision to drive the improvements that we're talking about. And this group then identified a need to support student teachers, probationers, post-probationers and staff in that area of engaging and working with parents. And that's the really interesting bit for me, that what started as a collection of like minds and a shared aspiration blossomed into a multidisciplinary working group to develop the framework that we'll hear much more about today. And we talk a lot in Scotland about a collective will for change. This is a great example of collective action for change in the work that you're bringing together this morning. Developed from 2018 to 2021, looking at the Learning Together National Action Plan. And again, at that point, I think I froze there for a second, but I think I'm back now.
She froze again.
Gillian, you've frozen again. That's you back, Gillian. Oh no. I don't want to say that's you back now, but it appears that you may be.
Okay, I'll keep going, Susan. I'll give it a shot. Okay,
Yes.
I'll give it a shot. what I was saying when I was frozen was often we talk at the end of a piece of work about how it's important that ITE are involved in the conversations or include something. So actually seeing ITE involved from the outset is really, really positive. So with that Learning Together action plan, there was an agreement to follow up further engagement with stakeholders to scope out an understanding in relation to the work that is included in the framework. And as we all know, I keep saying as we all know, but these are messages that we have shared for a number of years. COVID, the pandemic, showed us all of the increased importance placed on parents. And that felt, I think, for the group like a really opportune time to reconvene the mutual knowledge exchange group to continue to look at this work. And for me, I think that the period during COVID taught us all the importance of that mutual respect. We heard parents saying every day, my goodness, I didn't appreciate the work that teachers and educators did on a daily basis. But we also heard teachers and educators saying, my goodness, parents are doing an amazing job in continuing to support the learning. So I think we saw a real mutual respect. So given that increased importance and the intelligence that this work was showing us, we recognised that there was a real need for a strategic framework. So the framework that you're going to hear much more about today will help streamline this area of work in initial teacher education and professional learning delivered by ITE providers, childhood practice providers, the SSSC and local authorities in all of these areas around parental involvement, parental engagement, family learning and learning at home. A bugbear of mine is duplication. We're one Scottish education system, we're one country, so actually the opportunity to reduce any duplication of professional learning provision and ensure that everyone working in this area have the appropriate background to take forward this work, for me, is really, really important. We started by talking about how busy everyone is, so if we can reduce duplication across the system in some areas, for me, that feels like an early win. Before we're even talking about the wider impact of the work. I said earlier about the importance of partnership, and I want to say thank you to my Education Scotland colleagues. I've seen firsthand the amount of work that the team have done to get the work to this stage, but I said at the beginning, that hasn't been in isolation. So I also want to say thank you to many of the partners who are on the call with us today to launch this first strategic framework: Scottish Social Services Council, Early Years Scotland, General Teaching Council for Scotland, Scottish Parent Information Officers Network, Scottish Government, ITE providers. So a big thank you to the wide group of partners who've engaged in this work. Beverly said at the beginning, but just to repeat, there's a range of inspirational speakers planned today. You're shortly going to hear from our new Cabinet Secretary for Education and Skills, Miss Ruth. And you're also going to hear later in the day from Dr. Sandra Lyon, who's a lecturer in education at the Mary Immaculate College in Limerick. And Sandra's also written, I'm sure a number of you have read already, Sandra's also written one of the authors in Parents in Partnership, Mapping the Way for Family, School and Community Engagement, which highlights the importance of engaging with parents, families and the community. We'll then hear from Dr. Gillian MacLeod. That sounds like that might be a real live nursery and we're having to mute the mic. There's an irony in that. But we'll also hear from Dr. Gillian MacLeod, who's the Senior Lecturer at Murray House in Edinburgh, and her research in family learning and parental engagement in Scotland has provided, really importantly, longitudinal evidence of the importance of the impact in this area of work. And again, with great excitement, we're going to round off the day hearing from Edinburgh City and Clickmanager local authorities, and two of Gail's previous students who joined the family learning team as part of their initial teacher education. So again, much as we will love hearing from our stakeholders and our people who've contributed to the programme, finishing the day with people who are living and breathing this on a daily basis, I think will be a fitting end to the day. So today itself is an opportunity for practitioners and for educators who work with parents and families and who are involved in leading this professional learning to and with the workforce to come together. We started by saying welcome, but we're extending a really warm welcome to you all. It feels like a great opportunity for some extended discussion around this important work, and to enable you and everyone in the call to join in the discussions, to ask questions and to learn alongside others who share your passion and our passion to build the capacity of parents and families and to really enable them to get involved and support their children and their own learning. So please maximise that opportunity. Don't be a passive participant in today. Be really active. Take the opportunity to question, to challenge, to engage, to share your questions. So when you're curious and you're thinking, what about that? Please share it and join in the conversation. We're hoping that this formal launch of the framework will inform and support your own professional learning. You spend a lot of time supporting the professional learning of others, but that this will hopefully support your professional learning. And we really look forward to hearing about the innovative and brave ideas that you do to take this forward within your area of expertise. So even when you're sharing them today, keep sharing them with us as they go forward so that we can share your learning, your thinking, and continue to help grow that work. One of the things that I've prioritised in this new role is about the importance of engaging and building our relationships with stakeholders. And one of the things that has really sharpened my mind in the new role is the range and extent of stakeholders that Education Scotland has. So when you think of the unique role that our organisation has between early learning right through to adult learning and all sectors of Scottish education, that's a whole lot of stakeholders. So actually the importance of that engagement with that widest range is really important, and I guess sets the scene for this morning. And can I just finish by saying that the launch this morning, before I hand over, we were just saying is a really important opportunity for the wide group of stakeholders and educators on the call to support their own professional learning, to take forward and support the professional learning of others. I'm encouraging this not to be a conversation that stops today, but to continues beyond today, so that we continue to hear about the innovation and the brave ideas that people are taking forward as a result of the framework.